how did you really get to be the greatest salesman of all time? What's that been like for you?
This is pre-ClickFunnels, because ClickFunnels didn't come around until 2015, right?
Yeah. This is early.
Really early. I was with Russell and working with Russell for 6 or 7 years. I love Russell. I took my vow of poverty. For about 5 years, from 2015 to 2020, I was making about 10% of what I was making with Russell and took a pay cut and went and taught seminary to kids in Vernal, Utah, and just loved it. The same ways to communicate, to talk, to help people to understand that you would teach somebody about Jesus.
Right.
You can't have a better product than Jesus. That becomes easier and easier. But then you look at, hey, Christianity is declining in America. People going to church, it's declining. And why is it declining? Because we don't have enough people communicating and talking about the good news.
Welcome to Unreasonable Autonomy. My name is Sarah Grace. This is the podcast for entrepreneurs and innovators who refuse to settle. Here we dive deep into raw, real conversations with boundary pushers who have pursued seemingly impossible ideas and yet have achieved unreasonable results, whether that's in their faith, relationships, health, politics, yes, even business. All of those conversations are happening right here, right now. So let's buckle up, because this isn't about playing it safe. Unreasonable ideas, unstoppable results. Let's go. Hey you, today's guest is Robbie Summers. This guy has been on my bucket list for interviews for years. He is a father, woodworker, metalworker, and avid outdoorsman who also happens to be a sales powerhouse. I affectionately call him the greatest salesman of our day. With over 30 years of experience in sales, Robbie has mastered the craft of closing deals, leading teams, and delivering results. He has personally sold over $100 million all over the phone. Along the way, he's hired and trained more than 1,000 salespeople, building high-performance teams across multiple industries. And get this, he's been the top salesperson for some of the biggest names in the game, including Brian Tracy, Russell Brunson, Pedro Adao, Steve Larson, Bud Heaton, and Tyler Link. Whether he's leading a team, mentoring up-and-coming closers, or out in the shop working with his hands, Robbie brings craftsmanship, clarity, and serious results. Let's go. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. It is Sarah Grace. Welcome to Unreasonable Autonomy. And today we have the Robbie Summers in the room. Did you kind of die when you heard his bio, everybody? Like, did you? I hope you did. Okay. I hope you did. And there are a million reasons why in business and in sales, you would want to have a conversation with Robbie. And I'm here to talk to him about those things, but also so much more about him, about his health, right? About his relationship with one of the greatest marketers of all time, Russell Brunson. I'm here to talk to him about God and politics. Like, I'm excited to see where this conversation goes. But before we get started, Robbie, can I first just tell them how I actually originally met you? I love this story so much.
Please do. Yes.
Okay. Back in 2019, I had 11 days earlier heard the name of Russell Brunson and heard this crazy event was happening called Funnel Hacking Live. I bought a ticket. I showed up in some sort of, I'm sure, expecting some sort of stuffy corporate experience. And as I'm going up the escalator to attend the first session of Funnel Hacking Live, I'm like, who is this man yelling at me at the top of the escalator? It was you. It's you. Okay. If you're not watching this on YouTube, you need to be, because he's given all the fist bumps here. When I first met you, you were yelling at me and just, you're so excited to be here. I am so glad that you are here. And I'm like, what have I done? Like, what room am I in? I get to the top of the escalator and you say, your shirt, I want to talk to you. And you pulled me aside, and the greatest hook of all time was what was written on my shirt. On my shirt, it said, I teach funnels to Mormons. And luckily that caught your attention. That was probably the whole reason I had to be there at that event. And you said, I want to have a conversation there with you. And I've probably sat and talked to you for 4 or 5 minutes and heard about some stories about you and being a seminary teacher and your faith and all sorts of things. And I said, I want that guy in my life. And here we are 6 hours later, and we're sitting in a room together. So welcome to the room, Robbie Summers.
Oh my gosh, Sarah, I'm so excited. And can I just say, like, okay, so first of all, Funnel Hacking Live, I'm so sad that it was the last one. If you didn't get to make it to it, we're going to have to figure out something different, Sarah, to go and do to this last one. But can I just tell you, like, how cool of a hook and looking for your dream avatar and the people who are like going to speak your language. And also, you know what's so interesting about marketing is that with marketing that you think I want to attract everybody. And that's the worst thing in the world to do with marketing. You're like, you want to repel the wrong people and attract the right people. And so it was just awesome that you had that on your shirt, Sarah.
Well, my marketing skills were sharp from at least that day on, I guess.
Hey, sir, I got to ask you, so you found out about Russell like 11 days before and you bought a ticket.
Yeah.
And funnel hacking live tickets, I mean, they're $1,000 a piece. Plus you got to fly. You had to fly to Nashville, Tennessee, get a hotel at the Gaylord. I mean, for one person, you're probably $3,000 to $4,000 just to go to funnel hacking live, right?
For sure.
Did you bring anybody with you?
No, I came alone.
So you're $4,000 in. What on earth made you spend from I've never heard of this guy before to I'm dropping $4,000 and I'm flying halfway across the country? That's crazy. That's awesome. And I've got like a point to make about this, but like, what made you do that?
Okay, so here was the 11 days. On day one, I saw an ad with Russell that caught my attention. I bought a $97 course called the One Funnel Away Challenge, right? And I met some random guy, Steve Larson, got to have him on the podcast too. And he introduced me to the world and excitement of Russell Brunson and funnels. And within 11 days, I had launched a funnel and a webinar, and I had made my first $3,000 and paid for my ticket.
Whoa. No, wait, I didn't know that. I didn't remember, like, holy cow, I didn't realize. So your entire ticket, you paid for everything in 11 days because you saw the One Funnel Away Challenge with Steve, which, sir, I don't know if you know this, Steve's actually my business partner. Did you know that?
I know he is. I know.
That is unbelievable. That is such a great story. What did you sell for $4,000 in 11 days?
I taught people the value letter.
Oh my God.
I mean, I seriously borrowed Russell's stuff. Like, don't tell him I stole stuff. You guys, this is on the record. I stole his value ladder, which I think he borrowed from someone else, and I taught it and sold it. It was crazy.
Oh, Sarah, in fact, don't apologize for that. Like, you should be bragging about that. Because, Russell always talks about funnel hacking, right?
Right.
And there's no greater form of acknowledgement of raising somebody. Flattery is the greatest, or imitation is the greatest form of flattery.
Right.
And so, like, that is just awesome that you did that and you took what he had and what he said and you said, I'm going to run with it and do it.
Well, indeed. And if all it did was introduce me to you at Funnel Hacking Live, like, I'll take it. I've learned so much from you. And truly, if I were to give you a title, and I don't say this lightly, I truly believe that you are one of the greatest salesmen of all time. And I have to put a caveat in that because I've been in some really awesome rooms with some really great marketers and really great salesmen. But there is a real gift in your ability to keep your soul about you as a salesman, okay? And to not throw other people under the bus as you are a salesman. And third, to be able to sell for such high-powered people, different products, different services, their dreams, your dreams. Like, that ability is unmatched in my opinion. And so I bow to the master, the greatest salesman of our day. I really believe it.
Oh, Sarah, you are too kind. And there's so much, call it negative. There's a lot of negativity around salespeople. In fact, I think the only people that maybe like get more flack than salespeople might be attorneys. The people are like, oh, I don't want to go to attorney. Like that. That's never a good thing, right? What 15 attorneys in a bus? That's there's so many jokes about them and things like that, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
The beauty of sales, Sarah, that I just love, is that there is nothing that allows you to help out people more than selling them good quality products. And people need to be talked through it, and they need to see and they need to understand. And it is such a beautiful thing. And then if you've got something, your course, your goods, your products, your knickknacks, whatever it is that you believe in and you think it's awesome, or if it's somebody else's product and you think is awesome, like, greatest disservice you can do to them is not sell it to them. And because if you look at people, and maybe I'm jumping ahead, but like, my favorite thing in the world is people. There's nothing that's cooler. There's nothing that's better than human beings. In fact, St. Augustine of Assisi, and I don't have the quote down right, but he said something along the lines of like, people go to the mountains and they see the beauty of the mountains. They go to the ocean and they see the beauty of the ocean. And then they forget to look at the people that are right in front of them. And they forget to look, he didn't have mirrors. I guess it kind of did, but like 300 AD, like they forget to look in the mirror and see how amazing, incredible they are. And if you look at it, you just have a love for people and helping them out. Sales becomes so much fun, so easy, and just an incredible thing to be able to do.
Well, and I love your approach there, that this is a service when you are selling. Like, as long as you are selling a product that works for people and changes lives for where they're headed, like, sell the dang thing. And really where I want to push you, and can you give us some background on, like, how did you really get to be the greatest salesman of all time? Because I know that you started in seminary. I know that you started in a very different world of selling something different, right? And so I think people they struggle because it's like, I want to be a salesman and my stuff is good, but actually, like, everybody needs it. So I struggle to charge for it. It's not, and that makes the whole sales process a whole other, gangbusters problem for people. But give us some background to kind of where you came from and how you entered the world of Russell and sales. What's that been like for you?
Oh my gosh. So it's kind of a crazy story a little bit, but my sales journey, and the more I look back, like, the first time I ever sold anything, I wanted to go to Boy Scout camp when I was 11 years old. Right. And I told my dad, and my dad in his wisdom was like, hey, well, if you want to go for it, you need to pay for it. And I'm 11. What am I going to do? Right. Like, I come on.
Dad.
Right? Like, you're supposed to pony that up, Dad. And my dad was a manager of an electrical wholesale distributor. So, like, they sold light bulbs and, like, power cords and wire to electricians and contractors. And he's like, why don't you go around town and sell light bulbs to businesses? I'm 11. I'm on my bicycle, right? Yeah. It was so great. And it was, I don't know if it was like I was just a really cute 11-year-old, chubby, and, like, just going in and, like, asking and talking, and or if they just felt bad, or it was like because it was Boy Scout camp. But, like, I went and I was able to pay for my entire Boy Scout camp and buy myself a brand new pair of hiking boots. And yeah, well, and then another time too, we had a fundraiser, and they were taking family photos, and I grabbed the phone book in my little town in Emmett, Idaho. Okay. And I picked up the phone book in Emmett, Idaho. And for some of the younger people might not know what a phone book is because they just Google everything. Like, we might need to get a picture. We might need a picture of, like, a phone book or something. But I just picked up it was like a little phone book because there's, like, only 3,000 people in my town growing up. And I just started dialing numbers and saying, hey, we're doing a Boy Scout fundraiser. Do you want to come and get your photo taken? And just totally, like, cleaned house on that and like filled up the entire schedule of this photographer for an entire day. And he just came and shot family photos. And so that was kind of my first foray into actually doing sales and that. And then I when I was 19 years old, I went on a Mormon mission and loved it. And anybody who doesn't think that is sales, the ideas, the principles, everything that goes along with that is totally completely part of and being able to talk to people and communicate and
yes,
start getting over call reluctance, getting over the fear of, like, knocking on a door, doing those kind of things. When that's, like, all you do all day long, it all of a sudden becomes easier and easier. And so I started into, like, the world of high ticket selling actually in 2001. So that is, like, over almost 25 years ago. Right.
Yeah.
My very first place that I did it was a guy named A.D. Kessler. And he's like, I've made enough money, I can go by my own initials. And I was like, okay, cool. But he had a real, and sir, I was freshly married, okay, and had a baby on the way and didn't know how I was going to make money, and just got on the phone and we had leads, and we're selling a $5,000 or $10,000 course. And just my year one at 23 years old, brand new kid, like, living in 2001 and made 80 grand in a year. And I'm just like, hey, there's something here.
No.
Just off commissions. Yeah, just off commissions. And I was like, there's something here. And I went on and did that and did really, really well. And my brother was working in Idaho. It was 2008, working in Idaho. And he had bumped across Russell Brunson from a newspaper ad and said, hey, Russell, you need to hire my brother. And so like I found out about him and came up and met with him, and they paid me a bunch of money and moved up and handled and started running his systems and everything. And so this is pre-ClickFunnels, because ClickFunnels didn't come around until 2015, right?
Yeah. This is early.
Really early. I was with Russell, and so working with Russell for 6 or 7 years, and just, oh my gosh, I love Russell. Like, he is such, if I could say one thing about Russell, more than anything, Russell is one of the best people I have ever met in my entire life. He is just a good man. And yes, he's a genius in so many things. He's the best marketer, all these things. But he's a good guy. And the world that I'd spent so much time in and around, I hate saying there's like bad people, because I love people so much, and I want to be around people and do those things. But there's a lot of people out there that are selling junk, that are selling garbage. And so one of the worst things in the world you could say to a salesman is, you're so good at sales, you could sell ice to Eskimos. And I'm like,
that's not what we do.
Hey, sir, I will sell a fur coat to an Eskimo. I'll sell matches, firewood, a snowmobile, because one of the best ways to make sales easy is repeat business. And when you do it, and somebody, because sir, I'm good enough, I could sell anybody anything one time. But the real truth is, did you take care of them, and did you really give them something they needed and wanted, that I could sell them again and again and again, and they just want to keep buying? And you start talking to these people with Russell, and they're like, whatever he puts out, I'm going to buy. And so I did this for about, go ahead. Do you have a question?
Well, I do have a question about that specifically. Just where do you think we go wrong in sales with not understanding that concept that we want to sell repeatedly? Does it start with because your product is garbage, or is it part of the sales problem?
So it can be a little bit of both, for sure. If you're selling garbage, that stinks. But the other thing too is, sir, you get back to your t-shirt coming up the escalator in Nashville, Funnel Hacking Live, which I build funnels for Mormons. Okay. You are attracting the right audience. Okay. And if I can sell ice to somebody in Death Valley, they need ice all day long. Right.
Right.
And so it's making sure that you're attracting your right avatar and pushing the wrong avatar away. So many people, when they like sit down, like, hey, who's my avatar? They sit back and they think to themselves, everybody's my avatar. I'm like, no, I want to repel the wrong people, and I want to attract the right people. And so if you do that, really, really good things happen. But my story, so I was working with Russell, and I just had this calling in church, where it was go and teach early morning seminary to the kids that were freshmen. And I loved it. I could not believe how amazing, incredible it was. And I got home every single day, and I was like, I got to figure out a way to do this. And so finally it was just like, okay, I'm going to jump in and do it. And here I am, sir. I'm making good money, $400,000 or $500,000 a year with Russell, like doing great things like that. And I'm like, I call this my vow of poverty. I took my vow of poverty for about 5 years, from 2015 to 2020. And I was making about 10% of what I was making with Russell, and took a pay cut and went and taught seminary to kids in Vernal, Utah, and just loved it. And the thing that's crazy about that is that it's the same ways to communicate, to talk, to help people to understand that you would teach somebody about Jesus.
Right.
Or if I can understand why this is so exciting, you can't have a better product than Jesus. Like we're gonna, I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but I hope you guys know what I mean. And so that becomes easier and easier. But then you think about, you look at, hey, Christianity is declining in America. People going to church, it's declining. And why is it declining? Because we don't have enough people communicating and talking about the good news. And if we get out there and talk about it, good things happen. So I did that for about 4 or 5 years. And then finally I was like, okay, vow poverty's over. And I came back it was actually 2019. I came back and worked for Russell, and we built his inner circle, and it was awesome and amazing. And I finally got to a point where I was like, I've reached my ceiling, and I can keep staying here, and I can keep building and growing, or I can go out and look for something different, or I can build my own thing. Right. And so about a year ago, Steve Larson and I teamed up. We built a business. It's called the Sales Lever. And it's so much fun because, Sarah, if you have a high ticket product and you've got leads coming in, you don't need a ton of leads. you hand me the leads, I hand you back cash. You don't have to put on the sales hat as the entrepreneur, which, sir, if I can give entrepreneurs like one piece of advice, stop doing your sales as quickly as possible. It doesn't matter if it's me, but as quickly as you can stop doing your sales, it's the best thing in the world, because every entrepreneur on the planet teaches past the sale of their products, and they start getting in the weeds, the nitty gritty. And guess what happens to the prospect? They get confused, and a confused one always says no. And so I've been doing that for the last year, and building and growing with Steve Larson and I've got two other partners, Angie and Tyler Clark, and we're building a business and growing and going through the hurdles, the ups and downs, but it's been amazing and just a fantastic ride.
Yeah. And I love so much that you just said, like, look, we built this new thing. I decided to kind of go at this on my own, found some partners, and that you actually exited Russell's world in some ways, right? Working for him, which I'm sure was hard, right? But I really want to back up to your 5 year of poverty, right? Your vow of poverty. Like, what? I don't know how else to say this. Does it matter how much money you make when you're selling, when you're selling? Does that make sense? Like, does how much money you make matter to you?
It's funny because, like, we all need money, right? Like it makes the world great, whatever it is. Like, I've got to pay my bills. I got to take care of things. But at the end of the day, the very, very most important thing for everybody is making sure that you're in a place where you can focus on your superpowers, you can grow your superpowers, and you have the opportunity to get out there and to serve other people. And I don't care if you're an accountant, a sales guy, an attorney, an entrepreneur, serve and be utilizing what your special gift from God is, and amazing things will happen.
So why did seminary not fulfill that for you?
There's a couple of reasons, and I think that's a great question. One of the hard things for me was going from a lifestyle making $500,000 a year to $50,000 a year was a tough adjustment. And it was tough on my wife as well, just going from that. And so that was part of it. But the other thing was, I really felt that after I had done that, my 5 year vow of poverty, that I'd accomplished what I needed to accomplish there, and it was time to move on to something else. And which that's scary too, because I mean, there was security, there was a job there was a constant paycheck, where in sales, there's no such thing as a constant paycheck, right? It's whatever you sell is what you get paid on. And so it was definitely something that, with a lot of prayer and just talking with God and making sure that I'm doing the right thing, it was time for me to move into something else. And so that's what I journeyed out, and I went and did.
Was it socially hard for you to leave seminary?
Oh, Sarah, it really was, because in the small town, like,
that's what I mean.
I knew everybody, and I could walk into Walmart at 8 o'clock in the morning or 11 o'clock at night, and my students would be in there and they'd hug me and love me. And so that was hard. But for me, it's, thank goodness for things like social media and like communications and technology that we have today, because I still get to stay in touch with them. I still get to love, and I still get wedding announcements and baby announcements and these things from them that I just love. And so that's a huge part. But it was very, very hard to leave seminary, but it was the right thing at the right time. And I think a lot of the times that we get in a business or a job or something along those lines that we feel like we're just trudging through. And that doesn't mean that there's not the ups and the downs, but when you're just trudging through, and I wasn't trudging through seminary, but like when God tells you to act and move, you run with it. So that's what I love about your story about 11 days. You're like 11 days and you took action, and look what's happened. Look where you're at. Look at the things that you've done. And nobody ever, it's the ready, fire, aim principle that Russell always talks about. So many people think, and I've got to have an A+ on every funnel, every piece of copy, everything that goes out. Yeah. That is the worst mindset to have in business. I don't know if you ever watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine. There's a girl in there named Gina Linetti, and she's a little ditzy, but somebody was taking their sergeant exam test, because it's all about a police station, and they only got a C-, and she looks at him and goes, C-? It's the best grade, because it means you pass and you're still hot. And
she's an entrepreneur.
right there. Yes, for sure. And if everybody looked at everything and said, hey, does my funnel, does my marketing, and that doesn't mean we're happy with the C minus, but when I got a C minus, I launch and then I improve upon it and go to the next step, next step. And so that's the, I kind of got a little distracted there, but yeah.
I want to ask you this follow-up though to that exact comment on, the ability to adjust and adjust quickly instead of like, let's overhaul the whole launch. Let's like garbage the whole webinar and start over. The product's not. Yeah, we've all done it. How many sales calls have you done?
Oh, geez, Louise. Over 100,000. I don't know for sure. I mean, and that would include like people that don't pick up, things like that. I mean, when I started, it was, we did 300 dials a day. And that was like for the first 2 years in, and like that's how I made 80 grand in my first year. You're sitting down and you get your leads in front of you. And when you went through your leads, you know what you do? You turn them back over and go through them again. And it'd be like, we're going to find somebody that's going to pick up the phone eventually, because we didn't have like all these cool things like Calendly and Zoom calls and things like that. It was a piece of paper and a phone, and that's all I had.
And what is the most amount of money you've ever made on one sales call?
So I'm kind of excited about it, but so there's two of them. One of them was a licensing deal that we just did, that in one call, I made 400 grand in total volume. Yeah, it was somebody who wanted to buy 100 licenses from us at $4,000 a piece. And so it was there's 400 grand, but my biggest one sale was $250,000 in. And you know what's crazy about that, Sarah? It was probably the easiest sale I've ever done, selling higher ticket to people, especially if they're the right people. It's so much easier than trying to sell somebody something for $100.
Let's have a chat about this.
Okay, let's talk.
Let's talk. So my world is webinars that convert, right? And like webinars that actually convert, let's say that. And this has been a very similar experience in my world. The higher the price of the item at the end, the better it converts. Can you help explain in a layman's terms why?
Well, so Sarah, I don't know if layman, but like if you don't have a value ladder in place, everything gets mixed up and messed up. And if you're trying to sell somebody on $100 product on the telephone, you're probably not doing things the right way. And so if you have a value ladder in place, it becomes so easy, because the right people will say, hey, I'm interested in that, and they'll raise their hand. And the best way for me to ever explain this, Sarah, is that do you guys all remember when you were dating? Okay, so many people, when they don't have a value ladder in place, and some of my good friends, Paul and Stacey Martino. Stacey sat down with me at Funnel Hacking Live one year, and she's like, Robbie, this is what's going on. And I'm like, okay, Stacey, tell me what you have. And she's like, well, we got a lead opt-in. Okay, they opt in, and then we got a $15,000 sale. And I'm like, Stacey, okay. I was like, Stacey, okay, that and they were getting some sales coming through. But I said, Stacey, if you looked at that like dating, that's kind of like me walking up to you and saying, Stacey, you're pretty. I'm a good-looking guy. Let's just skip everything and just get married. Okay. And she, like light bulb goes off, and she's like, oh my gosh, I need $100 product, and I need a $5,000 product, and then jump to the $15,000 product. And it becomes really easy. Now, sorry, the other thing too, that so many people do, that they've got like, okay, I've got my opt-in, and then I've got my $97 product, and it stops there. And I'm kind of compare that back to dating again. It's kind of like, imagine we go out and we have this like awesome date, Sarah, and it's just like magical. And we're like, oh my gosh, she's amazing. And you think that I'm amazing. And then we ghost each other.
Oh yeah.
And so if you don't have that value ladder in place, where people can either need to spend money with you or time. And so if somebody can spend 7 hours of consuming content, whether it's YouTube or webinars or courses, whatever it is,
right,
they're ready for a higher ticket offer. But if they haven't spent a decent amount of time with you, that you're trying to, you're swinging for the fences, and you're going to miss every time. And sorry, you know, this is going to sound funny, but you know what's, so 99.9% of the time that you go in and you say, hey, you're pretty, I'm good looking, we should get married, the girl's going to tell me I'm crazy. I'm no, right? Like you, now that 1/10 of 1% that the girl says yes, she's crazy. I don't want her as a customer. Is that bad?
You guys are getting a master class on sales right now. Just like client acquisition, many gems of wisdom.
But if somebody comes in and they're like, I know, I believe, and I trust in Russell Brunson, and I've used his products and they're good, and I spent $97 or $297 a month, like, holy cow, what do I get for a certification at $10,000?
Right.
Because I got so much. That's what I love about his secrets books is that I'll plug Russell for a minute, but if you guys don't have .com secrets and you're a business owner, like, it is the best book. Go get it, read it, understand it. It will help you on so many levels. If you want the logistics on how to build a business, it's all right there. There it is. You can go build a business.
Yes. Like there's a reason everyone I interview has the books in the backdrop, including myself and you. So, I mean, there's a constant theme here. I want to ask you a question about Russell. What do you wish people knew about him?
Oh, man. You know, Sarah, I'm going to go back to this, and I think a lot of people know this, but Russell's definitely an introvert. Okay. Yeah. Like through and through. And they're like, what do you mean he's on stage and he's like talking all these things and like he's not scared of anything. And he is a total complete introvert. And the thing that I wish people knew more about him was simply what a good man he is. Like when I think of just, hey, that's a good person. And when you look at the time, the energy, and the effort that goes into the things that he creates and what he does and how hard he works and how hard he tries to serve everybody that he's with, it is mind-blowing. I've never seen anybody work as hard as he does at serving the people. And he's really, really good at the masses. And he's really, really bad at the one-on-one. And it's funny because he'll get a little awkward when it's one-on-one, unless you know him really well or it's one of his five favorite things to talk about.
Sure.
One time, and this was pre-ClickFunnels, I remember I was in the office and I was talking to somebody and they were like, okay, so, hey, are you really there with Russell Brunson? And I'm like, yeah, he's right here. And he's like, okay, well, if he's right there, if I can just talk to him for like 2 or 3 minutes, I'm in, I'll buy it. It was like a $10,000 package. And I got Russell on the phone and spent like 5 minutes with the guy. And the guy was like, okay, good. I'm all right. No, I don't want to buy it anymore. But I'm like, Russell, you are never getting back on the phone one-on-one again, ever. He talked him out of it. But
I love that. I think that's a story I've never heard. So,
but
let me dig a little bit deeper with you about, he is such a good man. I mean, what a compliment, right? When we all are on our deathbed, that is what we hope people will say, is that we were a good human. I do not think that his life or his building of ClickFunnels with a co-founder has been smooth. And I think the greatest compliment ever is to say to someone that they are a good man when they have faced huge conflict. And so when you say he is a good man, what have you witnessed in his ability to actually navigate what he has built?
So a couple of things is, number one is Russell has his principles and he holds to them. I have never, ever, ever once, and this is in 18 years of knowing him, I've never heard Russell swear one time. And not that it matters if people swear or not, like I don't care, but it's like, that's just a principle for him. Russell is such an incredible father. I'm blown away with what a good dad he is. And before his 2 oldest boys, Dallin and Bowen, and I got to teach them seminary too. When COVID happened, it was so much fun because they were like, we don't have a seminary teacher. I'm like, I'll teach them seminary. And so I got to go, and I taught Dallin and Bowen early morning seminary. It was so much fun, Sarah.
Incredible.
But he was like, Dallin and Bowen, before they had their driver's licenses, he drove them to school every single morning, like unless he was out of town for travel or whatever. And I'm like, dude, there's a bus. And he's like, I know, but it's like the only 15 minutes that I can get totally uninterrupted with my kids. And you think about that, and 15 minutes doesn't sound like a lot of time, but for a 15-year-old boy, that's a lot of time. And every single day, and the consistency there, that he would drive them and drop his kids off at school. And the other thing too that I just love about Russell, he loves Colette. And if you guys don't know Colette, because Colette does definitely sit, but like she's probably more introverted than Russell, but she is just such a beautiful, smart, amazing, supportive woman who just loves Russell. And the way that he just loves her and cares for her is incredible. It's funny that you say that at the end of the day, like, we just want to be a good human being. Like, on my gravestone, I want to be like, Robbie Summers, a good man.
Right.
I did all right, you know, so that it's just impressive that he just, something else too. I've seen Russell through the ups and downs.
Yeah.
When we were struggling to make payroll, and when, you know, he's making millions of dollars and everything in between. And the thing that is really, really cool about Russell, because I've seen a lot of people that take that skyrocket to the top and crash and burn, because
right.
Because all money is, Sarah, it's an enhancer. It's an amplifier. Right. If you're a good person, it's going to make you better. If you're not a great person, it's going to make you worse. Okay. And Russell, the same guy, when we were struggling to pay payroll, is working just as hard, doing just as much, trying to serve his customers as the guy who's got $1 billion company, and he's out there working at it. And it's, you know, holding true to your principles and who you are. And you know, instead of Nike shoes, he did start wearing Gucci shoes. Okay, so I mean, some things changed, but the man was still the same. It's really, really cool.
And I think that's a fear for so many of us as we reach for next stage, next step, is we often see too many examples of people who lose marriages or lose relationships with kids, or they lose their company, or they lose, you know, again, like I said about how amazing you've kept your soul intact, that people lose their integrity or money at all costs and those things. And I would include you in that conversation with who he is, that you have really tried to stick to values. And I imagine not everybody here listening knows you and knows your experience, but you recently had a massive challenge with your health. Like you almost died.
Like,
right?
Yeah, Sarah, last year I was in the hospital for over a month, and it was crazy because I had an ulcer, and I'm kind of I am from Idaho, and, you know, it's like, I got a stomach ache, and like, you just rub some dirt on it, right? And it goes away. Right. Like,
you're
right?
a Boy Scout. Yes.
Right? Yes. Okay. And I'm like, I keep rubbing dirt on it and it still hurts. And it like got infected and went septic. And I spent literally a month in the hospital. And then I had to spend 100 days last year with, like, I carried this little backpack around that had like protein shakes in it. And like, I couldn't eat for over 100 days, eat or drink. I'm go all the time. I'm like, I know 100 miles an hour, or I'm sound asleep. I'm like 10 or 1. I don't have a 5 level on me. Yeah. And to sit in the hospital bed and try to contemplate and think about who I was and what I was doing and where I wanted to be, it was a difficult thing, but it also talk about finding an even deeper relationship with God and with my family and with who I wanted and who I needed to be. And it was crazy. And what was crazy too is I left Russell like January 4th of last year and went in the hospital like January 24th. And so it was like literally like finances and like I'm building a brand new business and all these things, and like how much can I get piled on me? And it really was a lesson in just learning some patience and learning some reliance on other people and other things around me and those kind of things. And hey, if you get an ulcer, guys, go take care of it. Don't rub dirt on it. Can I say that?
You got to have a talk with your dad about that. He's the Boy Scout. Like, you got to pay for this, right? Don't just rub dirt on it. Don't just rub dirt on it. That is Boy Scout 101. I'm fascinated with what were your conversations like with God when you were septic? Like, were you afraid you were going to die?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In fact, I asked the doctor. I said, "Hey, doc, am I on my way out? Like, let me know." You know, sir, it's kind of interesting that I wasn't really afraid, if that makes sense. And I told him, and I said, "Hey, if it's my time to go, I'm okay. I'm all right with that, and things will be okay. And but at the same time, if it's not my time, lead me and guide me to where I need to be and what I need to be doing, and help me to find the way to get there." And so I think the fear for me came more with my kids. I've got 2 daughters, and I'm just like, I gotta walk my girls down the aisle. You know, and so I think that was, but like, as far as Sarah, God is good, and as far as death, like, spoiler alert, everybody, it's going to happen. Like I ruined the end of the movie for everybody. And so what are we going to, what are we doing? And sir, I think the more that we can look at and we can say, what was I a good person? Was I a good human being? Did I really try to do my best? And I really try to help people out? And did I really try to serve and look outside of myself? That's where just amazing, beautiful things happen for people. And that, but by no means am I perfect. But at the same time, it was like, if it's my time, I'm okay and I'm prepared and I'm not scared, other than for my kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It does make sense. And I admire you. I don't feel ready to die. I don't feel ready. I've also never faced that. And so I admire that deeply about you, that your biggest concern would be for your kids, right? And what they would experience without you. So how are you different, Robbie? How is the Robbie pre-sepsis, just left Russell, different than the Robbie now? What really has changed in you?
Sarah, it is such a different, and for all the entrepreneurs out there, you guys know what I'm talking about, but there's a lot of safety in working for somebody else and that reassurance that, hey, I know every 2 weeks I'm getting a paycheck, those kind of things. And I would say that my empathy and my compassion for business owners and what they go through and what they're doing to succeed has grown leaps and bounds. And it also has stretched me so much, because if you're always doing the comfortable thing, you never ever grow. I love woodworking and like metalworking and building things with my hands, and I'm such a dork. I'm a nerd, but like it's crazy. You can take a piece of wood that is rough and get splinters in it, and then you can turn it into something like a pen. But the only way that you do that is you got to use a chisel and you got to use sandpaper. And I don't know if anybody has ever like rubbed their hand with sandpaper. It's not comfortable. It hurts. Mm-hmm. But if I want to grow and I want to get smoother, reminds me of the story of Sophocles, Greek history, Roman, something like that. But the guy who's always pushing the rock, and the rock never moved. And every day he'd go out and his mission was to push the rock up the hill, push the rock up the hill. And like finally he has this conversation with God, and he's like, I'm not any better. And he's like, look at your muscles. Look at your tone. Look at how much endurance you have. And you never moved the rock. The goal wasn't for you to move the rock. The goal was for me to hone you and improve you. And I think that's what happens a lot of times. It's the Michelangelo and David story. When somebody comes to Michelangelo and they're like, you took this piece of granite that had been sitting around for like almost 200 years that nobody knew what to do with. And Michelangelo goes, I just removed all the parts that weren't David. And so going through those things, I think that it gave me such a greater understanding of who I am. And God was trying to remove some of those rough edges on Robbie and make them smoother and say, hey, let's pull Robbie all the way out.
Oh, just took everything away that wasn't Robbie, right? That he is the expert craftsman. Did you ever consider after people listening, he almost died, like so serious, right?
The doctor said it was about 24 hours away from dying. He said if I hadn't come in within, like I would have been dead in 24 hours. Yeah,
okay. Crazy. I have to push the urgency of that. I wanted to watch you so carefully after to see, is he going to stay in the grind of entrepreneurship, right, with all of its fun, or would you go for something more stable? And would you settle in and do something? Did you ever consider going to get the 9-to-5 or doing something? I know that's probably a dumb question to ask, but those questions come to my mind.
Sir, there were definitely things that pop up, but I don't want to say I'd reached the pinnacle of working for somebody else, but but in the sales world and where I was at, the only person that sold more Russell Brunson products than me is Russell Brunson. That's it. And so I looked at that and I said, yes, sure, I could go and find something, another VP of sales, or go back and work with Russell or do things like that. But I wouldn't have been happy. I needed to create my own space, my own place. And it's something too that, sir, entrepreneurship is not for everyone. And if it's not something that you're like, hey, I'm going to take the leap and I'm going to do it, and you feel confident in what you have, there's nothing wrong with working your 9-to-5 and building it from 5 to 9, your business, and getting that place where you're comfortable. But the greatest, most important thing that we can do in life is to be our best selves. And
yeah.
I just feel like if I was working for somebody else, it wouldn't allow, it would have been putting super gluing pieces of the old bad pieces back on me. Wow. Instead of actually removing them and sanding them now and smoothing them rather than using a chisel.
Right. And I think about all of our conversation as far as, I want to go to scout camp. Okay, I got to go sell all these light bulbs around town, right? I'm going to go on a mission. Where did you serve, by the way?
Indianapolis. It's like the most boring mission. Like everyone's like, well, you can go to like China. No, by Indiana, but I loved it. It was amazing.
Oh, I went to Detroit and I loved it. And it was amazing.
Yeah, right.
It's all good.
You're right next door to me.
I know. We probably had very similar experiences. That's conversation for another day. But I look at that section of your life, and then I look at you making 80 grand a year by making 300 phone calls a day. And then I look at you working with Russell very early on and then crushing it for him. And then you go back and you teach seminary, and then you realize, okay, I've kind of fulfilled this. So you come back to Russell and then you leave and all this stuff. And I guess the common thread here is what was going on in your marriage when you decided to make 1,000 pivots where it's like, we're going to make money now. And then guess what? We're not. And then, oh, by the way, I'm going to quit this. And then I'm going to do this. And then, oh, I get sick. Like, what has that done for you two as a couple?
Oh, Sarah, I don't know.
You didn't know what you were walking into today.
No, and like I told you to, everything is on the table. And there's a lot that went into it. And it was really hard on my marriage. In fact, my wife and I were divorced. And not a lot of people know that, but all that I can say is that she was so supportive, and it was one of the reasons why we left Vernal and teaching seminary as well. But she was supportive of me every step of the way to go and do that. Yeah. One of the things that I learned though is that she was just trying to support and not really helping me to know and understand what it is that she really wanted as well, because she. If look, in hindsight's always 20/20, right?
Sure.
And that looking back, that she was like, I never really wanted to take that pay cut, and I was kind of like, you never told me that in the moment. It was always like, I'll support you, we'll go do it, and so I would just say that if you're the entrepreneur and your spouse is not the entrepreneur, take the time to follow up when you are making those big decisions, those big changes. And I would say, hey, this is a huge change. We're going to do something different. Like, let's think about it and let's talk about it and let's work through the pluses and minuses and do a Benjamin Franklin close, like top to bottom. And is it really where you both want to be? And then I don't know if you need to sign it, but do something along lines where it's like, hey, we totally both agree that we're doing this on the same page. We're going in the same direction. And that's something too that is just the ride, the ups and the downs can be a really hard thing for people to see, to go through, to do. And I have nothing but love for my ex-wife. She's amazing, an incredible woman and mother. The other thing too is that if you're going to be an entrepreneur, make sure that you and your spouse are really, truly compatible.
Oh, interesting. Tell me more.
Well, it's so hard for somebody who my ex-wife's dad has worked for the same company since he was 19 years old and still works there. And he's past 65 and he's still working there. And that's just what she knew and understood. And not that if your parents were entrepreneurs, you can't be an entrepreneur, sure. but make sure that they see, they know, they feel, that they understand, and that you have a common goal and a common purpose in mind. And whatever your common goal, whatever your common purpose is, Sarah, that one of my goals in life is Dave Woodward is one of my dearest friends who passed away a few years ago.
Sorry.
But they renamed the True Heart Award, the Dave Woodward Award, once you give away $1 million to charity. So whoever if I ever date, whoever I date, whenever I date, that's going to be one of our goals together, that, hey, we've got to give $1 million away to charity. And yes. if you're not okay with that, you're not the right fit for me. And so just making sure, and that doesn't mean you have to have everything in common, but you've got common goals, common purposes, and that you're keeping God in every step of the journey. It's just critical. It's important.
Well, and I would dare say this is a lesson in leading a team or leading a partnership or leading a marriage, right? And I'm sure you've had these conversations with Steve and your other partners where it's like, okay, what are the goals? Yeah, is that really a goal of yours, Steve? Is that really a goal of yours, Robbie? Right? And yeah, we can reverse engineer how to get there. We're smart enough, we're gritty enough, like we're going to figure that out. But like if the end goal doesn't feel like both parties decided on that, it actually brings back some tender feelings. My husband did medical school. He's an anesthesiologist, and I have read so much about, we've done therapy and all these things to, build this family we're aiming to build. And something we were told was both parties have to feel like they chose the journey. And I think maybe even religiously, culturally, we run into challenges where it is my job to support, it is your job to provide. And so I will just support with whatever you decide. But how incredible could those conversations be if it's like, yeah, I'm going to provide, here's my dream. Is that your decision too? Right? You have thoughts about that?
Sarah, 100%. In fact, I remember when we're sitting down, we're talking about building the sales lever. And I just been in Russell's world for so long, okay? And everything was like creating a $1 billion company. It was like almost ingrained in my head, right?
Right.
And I'm sitting down with Steve and I'm talking to Steve about it. And Steve's like, Robbie, I don't want a $1 billion company. I'm like, what? Why not? What's wrong with you? Like that's what I'm asking him, right? There's got to be something wrong with Steve at that point, right? And he goes, hey, Robbie, what if we had a $10 million a year company with super low overhead? Say we had $500,000 a year in overhead. And so now we've got $9.5 million that we can split up every year between 4 owners. Robbie, is there anything that you can't do in your life with $2.5 million a year? And I'm kind of like, well, I wanted that island. And he's like, come on, and so those kind of thoughts.
The conversation. Yep.
And it was like, wait a minute. And so just even having those conversations with your partners, whether they're business, sir, I think you need to have those conversations with your kids. I think you need to have those conversations with your spouse, with whoever it is. And if you'll have those conversations and make sure that you're compatible and in alignment, amazing things happen.
Oh, Robbie, we have just been over-delivered with today with your expertise. And I would dare say that we have listeners that are going to want to learn more about selling, like your actual gift, right? I mean, you have so many gifts, right? Just being a human is your gift, right? And so this is my formal on the record invitation. I would love to do a part 2 with you about actual selling mechanisms. And it looks like we got a thumbs up. So we're going to make that happen. But I just really want to bring it all home with our conversation here that the ability, let me restart, that we all have an opportunity to be geniuses in the way God wants us to be geniuses. And that even when you're pursuing those, it's not going to be smooth. It's not going to be smooth. And it's going to be full of experiences that will chip away with you, sand you away, and do all those things. And that if we continually reach for that end goal of on our gravestone, Robbie was a good human, that we are going to change the world.
Sarah, I think Einstein, when he said, if you try to teach a fish to ride a bicycle, that you'd be like, that's the stupidest fish in the world. Like it can't happen. It won't work. And there's so many people in this world that are fish that are trying to ride bicycles. And if they would find, this is what I love, this is what I'm passionate about, the money will come, the recognition, the acknowledgement, all those things that they want will come together, because every human being has a superpower. And if you find yours, you're going to change the world. And that doesn't mean you become president or famous, right? But you change your world and the people in your world. And that's why God has put us here, is to lift where we stand.
Right.
And if we lift where we stand, amazing things happen.
I wish you were my seminary teacher. That's what I wish in another life. Okay, 2 rapid fire questions. We ask every guest these questions to rapid fire interview today. Number 1, what is a book every single entrepreneur should read?
Leadership and Self-Deception.
Boom. We'll link it in the show notes.
Leadership and Self-Deception. It's a short book. It's a story. It's an easy read. And it is mind-blowing. It's written by the Arbinger Institute, and it, without question, it as far as business world goes, there's nothing better. If you're talking in the world, I think they need to read the Bible or the Book of Mormon. But like as far as business goes, Leadership and Self-Deception. I
will take it. And last, what can we expect from you and your business partners in the next 60 to 90 days? How can we find you?
Oh, hey, go to thesaleslever.com. go and hey, you guys, I am in sales, so I'm going to ask you to opt into my list. Okay, opt into my list, but go and get my free book. Steve Larson and I wrote a book. It's how to hire sales pros that don't suck. I've hired over 1,000 people in my lifetime. Okay, and I know what it takes. Go there, get the book, and we're just looking for the right entrepreneurs. They've got leads coming in that we can help to serve and pull that sales hat that they're wearing off their heads and get them doing what they're truly passionate about.
I could not think of anyone better. I could not. Okay, we'll link it in the show notes. Everybody go there, get Robbie and Steve on your sales team. Let's make it all happen. Thank you for the good that you are for the world.
Sarah, you're awesome. I love it. And let's jump back on again, okay?
We'll do it. Thanks
all
so
right.
much. We'll see you soon, Robbie. Thank you for listening to the Unreasonable Autonomy podcast. If you loved this episode, my guests and I would love to hear about it. Go to the show notes to reach out and let me know what resonated with you or what topics or guests you want to hear in the future. I am here to create for you. Look, I deeply admire your commitment to pushing boundaries and going after an unreasonable life. Keep dreaming big, taking bold steps, and expecting the unreasonable. For more, go to the show notes to dive deeper into the conversations that will keep you going. Thanks for being here.